There comes a point in life when you realize strength is not always about carrying more. For years, people counted on me. My family needed answers. Somebody needed fixing, helping, protecting, providing. And somewhere along the way, being needed became part of who I was. Then one day, the phone doesn't ring as much. The children have their own lives. The problems you used to solve belong to somebody else now. The house gets quieter, and you find yourself sitting across from an empty chair, wondering a question you never thought you would have to ask. If nobody needs me the way they used to, who am I now? I wasn't looking for anybody that afternoon. I was just walking, trying to clear my head. Then I saw him sitting there outside the community center. Young man, backpack on the ground, whole world sitting on his shoulders. I recognized that look, not because I knew his story, but because life has a way of teaching all of us what silence looks like. I could have walked past him, probably would have years ago, but something told me to sit down. I didn't give him a speech, didn't tell him what he needed to do. I just listened. Funny thing about young people, we spend so much time telling them what they need to hear, that sometimes we forget to hear what they're trying to tell us. He came back the next day, then again a few days later. Sometimes we talked, sometimes we didn't. We talked about school, music, mistakes, anger, family, life. And little by little, I started noticing something. He wasn't the only one changing. All those years I thought my purpose was providing answers. Maybe I had it wrong. Maybe purpose isn't always about being the man everybody depends on. Sometimes purpose is simply being present when somebody needs a place to land. Maybe wisdom isn't something you keep. Maybe it's something you pass on. That empty chair at home used to remind me of everything that had changed, everything that didn't need me anymore. But now I see it differently. An empty chair isn't always a sign that somebody left. Sometimes it means there's room for somebody new to sit down. Life has seasons, and every season asks something different from us. There was a time when my job was to carry the weight. Now maybe my job is to help somebody else learn how to carry theirs. Purpose didn't disappear, it just changed form. And sometimes the very thing we think we've lost becomes the reason we finally understand what we still have to give. The older I get, the more I understand that life doesn't always announce when one chapter is ending. Sometimes the change is quiet. A seat at the table stays empty a little longer. A child who once called you for every answer starts finding answers of their own. And if you're not careful, you can mistake that change for losing your value. But value and usefulness are not the same thing. A man can spend half his life building, protecting, providing, and solving problems, then wake up one morning wondering where he fits when everyone around him becomes stronger. Maybe that is the lesson. We raise people so they eventually don't need us in the same way. We teach them so they can stand without us. And if we did our job well, their independence should not feel like rejection. It should feel like evidence that something we poured into them took root. That young man reminded me of that. He didn't need another person telling him what was wrong with him. He needed somebody willing to sit beside him long enough for him to discover what was still right inside him. And somewhere in helping him see that, I began seeing it in myself again. Maybe purpose isn't one assignment we carry forever. Maybe it keeps changing because we keep changing. The chair was never really empty. I just hadn't realized who it was waiting for.